The Purdue Boilermakers have not been very good over the last 25 years, and the job of Jeff Dixon, who's going to take over as the new head coach, is to build this brand up from just being the Spoilermakers into a national power and help these guys overtake Ohio State so they can eventually win a national championship. We got a long way to go here with the Boilermakers, but I expect this rebuild to eventually be successful, as we will win a national championship and hoist it before the end of college football 26. Let's jump right into this and meet our new head coach, Jeff Dixon. As you can see, we're going to run the Purdue air raid offense, and then on defense, I switched it up to a 4-2-5. I might even switch to a 4-3 multiple. We'll see. For now, that's how I want to keep us built. We're going to be a little bit aggressive on both offense and defense. We're going to have the play sheet. We're going to be kind of an intense coach. As you can see, we're a bigger guy here. I'm a bigger guy. I gave him a better beard than I could ever grow, but it was the closest one I could find. Gear-wise, we went ahead and offered the shorts, and we went with like the fishing shirt style. Want to give him a fit that looks like something I would wear. Now, we're going to jump right into his abilities. We made him a motivator to start off, and our goal is to eventually work over to recruiter, but I think where we need to start with this team is where I think you should start with any team, and that's across the offensive line, and we're going to upgrade the reach your potential for the offensive linemen to get started. Then we're going to work back to the quarterback and the skill positions. We're going to show off our schedule quick. The biggest issue we're going to have as a team this year is when it comes to recruiting, we don't have any coordinator boosts, and we don't have any boosts as a head coach. So we have a long ways to go to be able to get good at recruiting. I expect year one to go pretty rough when it comes to just trying to build this team out. We might have to hit the portal hard after maybe changing coordinators in the offseason. Now, we're going to go ahead and meet this roster in this episode. Next episode, we're going to actually jump into playing these games. We're going to show off a little practice as we work on deciding who our starting quarterback is going to be. As we look at our options here, we have Ryan Brown, who's a sophomore redshirt. He transferred to North Carolina, and he just recently came back to Purdue. He's a 74 overall, pocket passer. He has some decent skill caps, but to be honest with you, I don't really expect him to be the answer for this team. I don't think we have the answer on this roster currently. Next up, we have Malachi Singleton here, impact dev player. Yeah, decent skill caps as well. Like, he has potential. But again, these are pocket passing quarterbacks that I personally don't think really are going to develop into what I want. We do have an interesting freshman, but the thing is, he's not a real life player. So I think I'm going to try to avoid using him and maybe just redshirt him for year one. And then we can treat it like he's a transfer if he doesn't leave for year two, and we'll utilize him then in Shane Honeycutt. But the biggest issue with him is I don't think he has a very high skill cap. So he's going to be somebody that's going to be kind of replaceable, in my opinion. As you can see, he's pretty restricted, so he might probably not even get to an 80 overall. Looking at our running backs, we got Devin McCoby. He's a senior. He has a lot of skill caps, as you can see, but unfortunately, he's just not going to be around for the long haul. We also have Malachi Thomas here. Same problem. We do have a couple young guys here, though, and Gabriel Joyner, who has impact dev. But look at this skill caps, man. They're not very good at all. So he's not going to be able to help us out much for the long term. We got Jaheim Mayweather. We don't really fit his playing style, which is going to be a problem, as he's an impact dev sophomore, and he has a lot of room to grow. I'm just afraid he's going to be one of them guys that's going to want to hit the portal pretty quickly. Looking at our receiving core, we have a lot of older players here. We'll play him, and I expect him to leave and move on, but we have Jesse Watson, who's somebody I'm kind of interested in here. He only has normal dev, but in this game, dev traits can go up, so that's a good thing. His skill caps are pretty low, so unfortunately, he's another guy I'm just not that excited about his future. We also have Nitro Tuggle, who transferred in. If I'm not mistaken, he came from Georgia, if I remember right. He has a star dev trait, which is great, but I feel like his skill caps are pretty restrictive, so I find that quite disappointing. I'm really not sure how high of an overall he'll be able to achieve in this game. Other than that, we need a lot of help at receiver. At tight end, again, we're led off by a couple seniors here. And then underneath them, we have some interesting players on the roster, like a George Burham, who unfortunately has impact dev and some decent skill caps, but again, I think he's another guy that's at risk of possibly transferring away here because of his pro potential deal breaker that you can see here as I hide my face cam for you. Across our offensive line, simply put, we're just not very good. We have some guys who will be able to develop and return for the most part, but I don't think we have the depth or the talent on this team to actually compete here across the offensive line in the Big Ten, and that's something that truly scares me looking into the future of this team, and we're going to have to attack it pretty hard. Looking at our edge position, CJ Madden, not a very good option if we're just being honest with you here. As we're looking at the roster now, CJ Nunnally IV, He's probably our best defensive player and our best player overall. I'm excited to have him here, and I think that he's somebody that we're going to be able to build into being a really good player, at least for this season. The problem is, again, he's a senior, so he'll be gone, but I think he might be the guy that'll be able to provide some impact plays to hopefully help us be at least a little bit competitive here in year one. Defensive tackle, a lot of young players. Worried about these deal breakers, as I'll hide my face cam for you here to take a look. It's risky, man, on all these young guys if we're going to be able to keep them or not. Now, looking at our Sam linebacker position, which is a new position in this game, so happy they finally made this change again. The freshman, Sam Stewart, you want to feel pretty good about him. He has some decent skill caps, but that deal breaker is just absolutely terrifying. And he's just another player that I'm not sure we'll be able to keep on this roster. Looking at our middle linebackers, we got some good sophomores here on this team. Again, I'm a little worried about these skill caps, though. Deal breakers, not skill caps. We could lose a lot of these guys heading into next season. That's kind of the big issue here with Purdue as we're going through this roster. There just isn't a whole lot of high upside players that are currently here. And I don't think that we have a whole lot of players that want to be here if they do have any sort of ceiling, the young guys. So I'm worried we're going to have a lot of turnover here early in this dynasty. I think we're definitely going to have to figure it out and roll with the punches early on and probably attack the portal pretty heavy. We are planning on playing this dynasty on Heisman, even though it's going to be a pain. It's going to make for a long rebuild. Initially, I wasn't planning on going ahead and doing the upgrades myself, but I decided, you know what, I want to do it. I did turn down the progression penalty a little bit because I do think 25 is maybe a little too harsh. We're going to leave it at 15, and I'm going to try to be pretty smart and not just cheese it. Overall wise to get it up. We're going to play 10-minute quarters. No accelerated clock for now, unless I think it's needed. Actually, we're going to turn it on and turn it to 25 to start. I just want to make sure I have time to make adjustments here at the line of scrimmage. Wear and tear for now. I'm not going to adjust that at all. I'm excited to see how it plays out. Transfer portal, all that's left. And as I said, we're going to auto progress our players. We're going to go ahead, jump into our recruiting board here. As I already have some news for you here, as you can see, before we even advance the week. Robert Randall, a 3-star wide receiver, not the greatest player in the world, 5'6", 170 pounds. I didn't get to scout him, of course, so we don't know anything about him other than he's an elusive route runner, committed on the spot as soon as I offered him a scholarship. So we already have a 3-star recruit willing to come in and commit to our program without even seeing what I'm going to be able to do to it. So that makes me feel pretty good. We're targeting a 4-star gem quarterback in Frederick Early. He's somebody that I think could be really good for us. He has 88 throw power, decent accuracies. His speed's good at an 82 overall. As a backfield creator, I think he's going to be pretty interesting, and I think he's somebody we'll be able to build around. We also have Nathan Van Lanen, a 4-star halfback who is a gem as well. Speed's not quite as high as I would like at an 89, but I think he's a good player overall that we'll be able to develop. Hopefully he has a good dev trait, and hopefully we're able to hold on and get some of these guys. We only had 4 stars that were even interested in coming to us, so most of our class is going to consist of 3 stars going forward. And, that's kind of just what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. And 3 of the 4 stars were also running backs. So at the end of the day, I'm just not really sure where we're going to end up with these guys. And we didn't get to do a ton of other scouting. So we're not going to be picky. We're going to get these guys on the board, offer them scholarships, and we're just going to start going through and picking away and seeing what we're able to do to get some of these guys to commit. I don't think I want to be overly aggressive because I don't want to bring in a bunch of average 3-star guys to this roster right now. I do personally really believe that despite the fact that we have 28 seniors and possibly losing another 20 in the portal, I don't think we need to be super aggressive right now to just fill this roster up with a bunch of young guys. I want to leave some room for the transfer portal because with the older team that we already have, I think we're going to have to be able to replenish the top end of our talent here. So I don't want to fill it up with a bunch of young 3-stars that aren't ready to play right now. I'm basically looking at it like this. In an ideal world, I'd like to get about 10 to 18 recruits out of the high school classes each year and then fill out the rest of it with transfers to fill our roster to whatever our needs are for that season. So we're going to go ahead and advance to the next week here in this episode. Now we're going to jump into some practice here and we're going to get some reps with our quarterbacks and see what we kind of have here. Unfortunately, that first play didn't go particularly well as we do have a check down here over to the flat. Nothing special there. I got to see if we're going to be able to push the ball down the field, how they move in the pocket. And, if we don't get blocks, we're not going to be able to do anything with this team regardless. See if crossers are still kind of OP, and it looks like they're still pretty good in this game. That's a good throw from Ryan Brown. It was a pretty quick release. I like that. I will say he's probably the leader in the clubhouse to be the starter, as that's an inaccurate throw. And it's on me. using the meter. I did hold down on it too long here, as we're going to check that down, and can't get that pass out of there before getting hit. If our offensive line can't hold it together, we're in deep trouble. What is that, man? That's just a drop slant. Now, right now, I don't have any sliders adjusted. I will probably try to find somebody that has some sliders that we can use. Like, I know maybe C4 usually has some out pretty quick, and he tends to play on Heisman, so I might use his a little bit until we get some better ones out with like Matt 10 or one of these other guys that we trust a little bit more. Like, no offense to C4, I think he does a great job, but he'll even tell you he uses Matt 10 sliders. So my goal is to probably switch to that, but for now it's going to be pretty much base with maybe a few adjustments that I can find some people have done. As I will say, Ryan Brown, I felt pretty comfortable with him. He's actually throwing the ball pretty well here. Whoops. Didn't not realize I handed that off. I thought I was hitting triangle to throw it out to the flat. Boom. Off the back foot. That's a pretty good throw. I mean, he has a pretty decent arm, actually. I think he has 90 throw power, so I shouldn't be shocked, but that's not going to help him keep his starting job as he drops that ball there. That's pretty good, run back considering everything that happened on that play. See if he's able to do anything with the speed option. Pitch it out there late to McCoby, and that's decent. I don't think he's going to be much of a running threat. Really, we don't have a running threat on the roster, as we're going to step up here and just try to see what we can do with him. Going to have to learn how to playmaker all over again and get used to that, because that's going to be different. I'm excited for this game, man. College Football 25 was really fun. It had, some things that needed to improve, like transfer portal. So I'm excited to see that they got them improved for this game. So, I'm really excited to get this Dynasty going, guys. And I think that overall, it's going to be a good experience for us. There's going to be a learning curve. And honestly, I'm probably going to suck at the game. So don't be surprised if I throw a ton of picks, if there's a bunch of ugly games, and maybe even some episodes that are pretty cut up. As I used to do a lot of post-com. I'm going to try to do more live-com this year. I just don't really have time to do the post-com videos. They're kind of time-consuming, and for now, I just want to make sure I'm actually getting the content out to you. It's kind of something that I wanted to focus on, making sure it's there and available. So we're going to live comment, and if I have to chop it up and commentary gets a little iffy, it'll happen from time to time, but I want to get these games out to you, and I want to make sure that was a bad sack right there. And I just want to make sure that we're able to get this Dynasty rolling, as we're going to hand that off. That's a pretty good cutout. Man, you can't make anybody miss. He doesn't feel very fast. I will say, in my little bit of experience right now that I've played this game, I think it feels a little bit slower than last year, and I've heard that, but I definitely do think that I'm feeling it as we continue to play. Overall, though, it's been a good experience here. We're going to throw that quick. I just want to get Malachi Singleton out there for a few passes. And we're going to actually do some practice here off screen. And I'm going to decide our starter prior to the next episode. And there's a chance you'll see both guys play in that game, as we're trying to figure out who's the better option here. That's a terrible throw from Singleton down the field. Still trying to get used a little bit to this throw meters. I feel like it's a little touchier, as that's a bad pick. And you know what? Right now in these early practices, it's certainly looking like Ryan Brown's going to be the better quarterback. He has the better accuracies. So, I kind of am leaning that way already. These accuracies, though, are definitely causing these quarterbacks to have a quick throw meter. Man, like, how is that already orange with how quickly I release that? Like, dang. I don't know, man. Singleton's not giving me a whole lot of confidence here that he's going to be our guy. But, like I said, I'm going to do some practice. Might be a day or two while I get everything set up and get comfortable. Man, Singleton, I don't know what's happening here. We're not dealing with him, I can tell you that. So, that's it for practice. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get out of here today, as we're going to play Ball State to open up this Dynasty in our next episode. And I think you could expect that maybe tomorrow or the day after. I'm not 100% sure yet. Going to take maybe a little bit of time to get things set up. But I want to thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Leave any comments down below. And if you would like to replace that quarterback in this dynasty, I can't change the way he looks and I'm not going to change his height and weight. But if you want your name in the game, drop a comment down below and I'll try to give it to you and at least give you the first dibs at getting him or any other prospect that's not actually a Purdue player. We'll get you in the game and get your name in the game. I want to thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Have a great day. I'll catch you in the next one. I'm out.